Past 5:45, so I will call to order the April 12th, 2023 regular meeting of the Hendersonville City Council. We begin our meetings with a silent invocation for people to pray or meditate as they choose, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. So if you'll rise, please. If you'll join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated. We allow time at the beginning of our meeting for public comment. We have 5 people signed up here. There were no items of public comment that were general. So if there is anyone online who wishes to speak during general public comment, if you would raise your hand, we just need to know how many people there are interested in speaking.
Madam Mayor, we have one hand raised.
One hand, okay, so that's a total of 6. So that will mean 2 minutes per person to keep it to our 15 minutes limit. So when your name is called, we'll start with the people present. If you'll come to the microphone and give your name and your address for the clerk's record, please. First of all, Jeff Groh.
Good evening, Council. My name is Jeff Groh. I actually live in Fletcher at Brookton Village. I appreciate the opportunity to speak with you and thank you for your service to Hendersonville. I'm here to question the need for the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee and the hiring specifically of a Kira consulting firm to implement a DEI strategy. I'm asking you to think more broadly about this topic and how it is related to Marxist ideology. Let me explain. Classical Marxism failed. It was supposed to lead to communism and envisioned as a superior system to capitalism to meet society's economic needs. History has proven otherwise. So Marxism was rebranded to focus on equality of results versus equality of opportunity. Equality of opportunity is a founding era principle. Equality of results, on the other hand, is a tenet of communism. Furthermore, it was claimed that Marxism was not inherently flawed, but failed because of how it was implemented. That spawned the concept of cultural Marxism to implement the ideology through cultural institutions. DEI is just one tactic in this overall strategy, which has been stunningly successful. I contend the consultant you hired is promoting these same Marxist ideologies. It's basically information that they provided to you. I included a copy in the information I gave you. Look particularly at the last panel. They have redefined justice to mean equality of results. That is part of the tactics, redefining words to mask the overall intent. Some of you may be afraid to speak up against this effort for fear of being canceled. You need to stand up before it's too late. We are losing this war, and make no mistake, it is a war. If you're interested, I've provided an additional reading list on some material. While I live in Fletcher, I'm invested in Hendersonville. I come here to shop and for the restaurants. I don't go to Asheville. This ideology is destroying that and many other cities. We are organizing here to educate the residents and the business owners in Hendersonville to make them aware of what you seem to be promoting here. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Mr. Groh. Jim Bales.
Good evening. My name is Jim Bales. I'm a resident here in Hendersonville, voted in Hendersonville 3 precinct. My address is 49 Spruce Path Lane. I first became aware of this DEI consultancy just a couple of weeks ago. So I went to, I understood also that it was a contract to the tune of $147,000. I don't know about y'all, but $150,000 is a lot of money. It took me, even when I was working, I'm semi-retired now, but several years to make that kind of money. But I figured there was a problem because you've hired a consultant to do this. So I went to one of my favorite sources of information, which is Wikipedia. And Wikipedia says, what does a diversity consultant do? Well, they are hired to support clients with a dilemma. Diversity consulting firms provide the client with objective analysis of their problem. So that raised the question, is there a problem? What is that dilemma or that problem? Have we abrogated the EEOC guidelines? Is there a discrimination suit that's pending? Is there a problem with our hiring guidelines? Is there a perception or an insinuation that we are not hiring properly? If not, then I would say there's not a problem. We've contracted with a consulting firm who's putting the cart before the horse here. And I would venture to say that we probably need to think about doing away with this consultancy and doing away with the contract with the consulting firm. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bales. Andrew Clark.
Hello, I'd like to start off by thanking the fire department for their recent Class 1 ISO rating. An incredible job for that. Sorry about that. Hello, I'm Andrew Clark, Legislative Director for Bedingfield-Scheidel, Chapter 14, Disabled American Veterans. DAV Chapter 14 is dedicated to a single purpose, empowering veterans to lead high-quality lives with respect and dignity. I'm here today to thank the City of Hendersonville for supporting the veteran population of this community. Bedingfield-Scheidel Chapter 14 Disabled American Veterans was named after two American heroes from this area that gave the ultimate sacrifice so that others could have the opportunity of the American way of life. Extending that extraordinary sacrifice, we thank those that answered the nation's call to stop the spread of communism, fighting in the jungles of Vietnam. 50 years later, we can't say it enough, welcome home. A welcoming DAV-14 thanks those that served and supported the missions in Afghanistan and Iraq. 20 years later, thanks to historical legislation, with recent passage of the PACT Act, DAV encourages all veterans to seek out the benefits earned through military service. DAV Chapter 14 has been an advocate for disabled veterans and their families, as well as a congressionally chartered organization in this city for over 50 years. We'll continue to do so for many generations, continuing to build local community partnerships that help DAV accomplish its mission, empowering veterans. We asked the city to help us support in funding such programs at the Charles George VA Medical Center, not supported federally for expenditures. Furthermore, in closing, DAV Chapter 14 accomplishes our mission by ensuring veterans and their families can access the full range of benefits available to them, fighting for the interests of America's injured heroes on Capitol Hill, and educating the public about the great sacrifices and needs of veterans transitioning back to civilian life. DAV-14 can be reached at dav14.org or by calling 828-367-0037, option 1. Thank you for the time.
Thank you, Mr. Clark, and thank you for speaking up for our veterans. Candler Willis. Yes, sir. Haven't seen you in a long time.
It's been a while.
Yeah.
Good afternoon. I'm Chandler Willis. I live at 2858 Green River Road, Zirconia. I have a vision of good government. It's government that hires the best people it can to fill its positions. This does the most you can do in order to assure quality public services and reasonable taxes. I recognize that there's another vision competing with this, and that's one who places a very high premium on diversity and inclusion, and says that the need for this is the fact that there's been historic discrimination and ethnic stereotyping against these people. This requires that the hiring practices be adjusted and that the most qualified applicants will be discriminated against. So what has been done is one type of discrimination is replaced with another. Discrimination is not eliminated, it's perpetuated, and an environment is created where the groups have to compete with one another to assure that their competitors are discriminated against more than they are. Also, concerning ethnic stereotyping, when you have the multiple hiring standard, which elevating these concerns creates, you're inevitably going to put people in positions that are not matched to their skill set. And this will mean they don't perform well, and it gives the ethnic stereotypers all the talking points they need to push their viewpoint. Now, an American principle is discrimination is wrong. It is not made right by reciting noble intentions nor hiring expensive consultants to wordsmith what you're doing. It's still wrong. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Mr. Willis. Vicky Amato.
Hi, my name is Vicki Amato. I live in Henderson County. We've been working with DEI. DEI's been around since the 60s. It's called different names, but apparently we're not doing enough. I'm reading from a text that a friend sent. I just learned about this meeting yesterday, and she texted me. I said, you know what? She just texted what I think. What proactive research was done to determine that diversity, equity, and inclusion is not already being followed in our city? Was any study that was done with the approach that it is needed rather than trying to determine whether it is actually needed? Who did the research and gathered the information to determine it is needed? What was research done based on state or federal recommended guidelines rather than local needs? Are there reports available proving the need exists locally, or is the city just jumping on the bandwagon, running rampant across the whole country? Once this is created, it will only encourage frivolous claims to be made. That's human nature. Just like paying people not to work during COVID, they never want to return to work. If there is a program available, human nature says you should use it. The gist of it all is, where's the proof this program is needed? Are we just being like goats let off the cliff by initiating a program that would only invite claims where perhaps none exist? Claims that can end up with lawsuits, closing businesses. Think of the baker with the religious objection that doesn't fall into the DEI guidelines. I've been discriminated against. I was not hired because I was white. I have a friend, he was not hired because he was white. Is that what we want? I don't know. I thought that maybe we would see the agenda, get at the information, and then we could speak to it. I don't even know what we're talking about yet, really. All I hear is DEI, and I know what that stands for. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Amato. And if you could call for the person online who wishes to speak.
Lynn, you are unmuted.
Good afternoon. Lynn Williams, Chadwick Avenue. I first wanted to start by thanking the city for hiring the sustainability manager and Caitlin into her new position. I know the ESB has been working hard on trying to make that happen, so thank you so much. In comments actually to the hiring of consultants, I do want to voice my support for our diversity and inclusion hiring for consultants and vendor policies. I think it's really important to have an equitable world, and I think these types of policies help to create that. So I want to keep that in mind while we are hiring consultants, so thank you. Quickly, last meeting you spoke about Oakdale Cemetery. I have generations of family there. I am in opposition to raising the price of the plots from $500 to $1,500. That's a $300 increase. The pricing supplied, and that's for residents, the pricing supplied currently is for a publicly owned cemetery. It's important not to prey on the most vulnerable. Can we secure the 2 or 3 adjacent lots near the cemetery to ensure space and potential protection with an eco-friendly expansion? I'm interested in learning more about the volunteer program of how to get the word out for upkeep of the cemetery. The county does have a committee for cemeteries. Can we collaborate with them to secure funding? And regarding the reclaimed graves, I was assured by Public Works representatives that the reclaim of abandoned graves would only apply to people whose contracts for the ordinance were recently included and would not be applied retroactively. If applied to the deceased retroactively, I strongly object to this breach of contract. The GPR needs to be for the purpose of providing dignity for the deceased, not simply for financial gain. Please get public input and HBC's input before proceeding. I'm also in opposition to Senate Bill 265, placed by Tim Moffitt, and I think that the people need to be able to vote for their city council candidates, as that is the only way that we can really make a change. If for some reason this bill passes, I ask for consideration of a referendum option for the people. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Williams. All right, that ends our public comment for this evening. We appreciate all of you who came out. If you would like to leave, you are welcome to do that. Okay. All right. First item of business is consideration of the agenda. Mr. Conant, I believe you said there were a couple of things to be removed from the draft agenda.
Yes, ma'am. I would like to remove, in addition to, just for clarification, that the developers of the project at 1202 Greenville Highway have requested that the city postpone the public hearing originally scheduled in the notice for today's city council meeting. At this time, the developers have not requested to reschedule the hearing. If they do reschedule, the hearing will be noticed via mailed, posted, and advertised notice in the same manner and to the same recipients as today's hearing was originally noticed. Additional questions could be directed to our community development staff in the interim. So that Greenville Highway project will not be heard tonight and has been postponed until a future date. Other items on the agenda, Mayor, I ask that we remove items 5Q and 5R. Both of those are related to sidewalk and multi-use path projects that will return to your agenda in May. And also would like to remove item, let's see here, item 7B, which is the standard rezoning for Hillview Boulevard rezoning P23-18-RZO. That application has been withdrawn at this moment.
Okay, thank you. If anyone is here for either of those public hearings that are not being held, again, you are welcome to leave at this time. Okay. Is there anything any council member would like to have added to or removed from the agenda? Or a motion to approve the agenda as amended?
Madam Mayor, I move that City Council approve the agenda as amended.
Is there any discussion? Not. Those in favor of approving the agenda as amended, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say no. Ayes have it. We have our agenda. Consent agenda of the items remaining on there. Is there anything anyone would like to have moved from the consent agenda to the regular agenda so it can be discussed? Not. A motion to approve the remaining items?
Madam Mayor, I move that the City Council approve the consent agenda as presented.
Thank you. Is there any discussion?
As amended.
As amended, okay. If not, those in favor of approving the items on the consent agenda as amended, say aye. Aye. Those opposed, say no. Ayes have it. We've got that. All right. We have a variety of presentations here this evening. Okay. The first two are proclamations. And we have someone, Susan, or whoever all is going to receive the one for can't talk tonight. Abuse Prevention Month and Week of the Young Child.
Not
right.
Susan, but I'm
Okay.
Sam.
Well, all right. Anyone, whoever, we are happy to have you here.
Thank you.
Whereas, while children are vital to our state's future success, prosperity, and quality of life, they are also our most vulnerable members of society. And whereas all children deserve to have the safe, stable, nurturing homes and communities to foster their healthy growth and development. And whereas child abuse and neglect is a serious problem affecting every segment of our community, as well as both the current and future quality of life of our community. And whereas preventing child abuse and neglect is a community responsibility affecting both the current and future quality life of a community. And whereas effective child abuse prevention strategies succeed because of partnerships created among citizens, human service agencies, schools, faith communities, healthcare providers, civic organizations, law enforcement agencies, and the business community. And whereas in 1971, the Week of the Young Child was established by the National Association for the Education of Young Children, the world's largest early childhood education association. And whereas communities that provide parents with the social support, knowledge of parenting and child development, and the concrete resources they need to cope with stress and nurture their children and are able to foster all children growing into their full potential. And whereas Safe Light and other youth-serving agencies of Henderson County are collaborating for public attention to focus on child abuse and ways to improve opportunities for our children and their families. Now, therefore, I do hereby proclaim April as Child Abuse Prevention Month and April 1st to 7th as Week of the Young Child, and call upon all citizens, community agencies, faith groups, medical facilities, elected leaders, and businesses to increase their participation in our efforts to support families, thereby supporting early childhood programs and preventing child abuse and strengthening the communities in which we live.
Thank you so much.
Thank you to have you here. This. We get a photo.
Beautiful.
And would you like to say something?
Oh, well, sure. Unexpected, but sure, since Susan left, seen the pictures. I have. Thank you all for supporting the child abuse work that we do. I mean, it's hard to explain to people that don't get to see and look in the eyes of the kids that we work with every day, like the impact that you all make when you support the work that we do, but once you see it, you can't really forget it, right? So supporting these kids as they navigate probably some of the hardest things they'll ever navigate, child abuse investigations, sexual abuse, physical abuse, neglect, drug endangerment, the list goes on. And so the work that we do is giving them a place to be heard and supported and start healing and get medical attention. And it's all worth it in the end, and we're so grateful for your support. Do you want to add anything?
I don't know if there's anything else to add. You did such a good job, but yes, thank you for yours.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. And who is receiving the Earth Day proclamation?
All my friends.
All right.
We don't bite.
Come on, friends.
Many people as well. It's fine.
Oh, no, I sit here.
Okay. All right, so this is a proclamation for Earth Day. Whereas the global community faces challenges such as health issues, food and water shortages, and economic struggles, and whereas all people, regardless of race, gender, income, or geography, have a right to a healthy, sustainable environment with economic growth and opportunity. And whereas we are all caretakers of our planet and have an obligation to combat climate change and environmental degradation to preserve the Earth's beauty and resources. And whereas the City of Hendersonville has implemented many environmental sustainability programs, including Fix a Leak Week, Rain Barrels, and Stormwater Stroll. And whereas in a partnership with Mountain True, the City of Hendersonville implemented the Working to Be Plastic Free program last year, encouraging our business community to take steps toward eliminating single-use plastics. And whereas the City of Hendersonville honors pollinators, such as birds and insects, including the monarch butterfly, and their importance in our environment and food supply chain by partnering with Bullington Gardens to continue our Bee City accreditation, and by signing the National Wildlife Federation's Mayor's Monarch Pledge. And whereas the City of Hendersonville's Environmental Sustainability Board, in association with many of our local area organizations and environmental champions, will host the first ever Hendo Earth Fest on Saturday, April 22nd in downtown Hendersonville to educate, entertain, and raise awareness of our need to protect our planet for future generations. And whereas April 22nd, 2023 marks the 53rd anniversary of the Earth Day movement, let it be known that the City of Hendersonville, North Carolina encourages all businesses, institutions, and individuals to celebrate the Earth and commit to caring for the planet and its resources. Now, therefore, I, Barbara Volk, Mayor of the City of Hendersonville, do hereby proclaim April 22nd, 2023 to be Earth Day in the City of Hendersonville and encourage all our citizens and businesses to combat climate change and environmental degradation, support green economy initiatives, and to encourage others to undertake similar activities. So, congratulations, and whoever all wants to hold back.
Oh, no.
Any of you want to say anything? Lindsay, you want to say anything? Well,
Go for it, Kelly.
Please come out on April 22nd to downtown on Main Street for the first ever Hendo Earth Fest. It's going to be a good time.
I would just like to say that this is an important thing for our children, to keep them having hope in the future. Thank you.
thank you all for coming. Now, we have some recognitions here. Start with Jamie Carpenter, our downtown manager.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and Council. We're here with a award we'd like to recognize for the North Carolina Apple Festival Board of Directors. So every year, the North Carolina Main Street Program allows us to nominate a Main Street champion. 837 Main Street champions have been recognized by the North Carolina Department of Commerce since the year 2000. And there are three common elements that are found. Sorry, I got out of line. In general, in downtown communities, there's three common elements that are found in successful downtown programs. That's asset-based economic development, public-private partnerships, and local champions. Main Street champions are key to successful downtowns. They fight for positive change, they use creativity, innovation, and they actively get things done. This year, we've chosen to nominate and recognize the board of the North Carolina Apple Festival as Hendersonville's 19th Main Street champion. As an all-volunteer group, they really stepped up, in particular last summer, to produce a great festival, and they've been really great partners to work with for years, and just me personally as working with them the past year, I really appreciated the amount of work and time and effort that they put in as a volunteer group. They've been welcoming for changes from our downtown board, as well as improvements on safety of the event citywide. We do have a video that we'd like to show, and we've got a couple representatives if y'all would like to come on up.
NC Apple Festival Board of Directors, Hendersonville. The North Carolina Apple Festival's Executive Board is an all-volunteer group of Hendersonville community members, apple growers, and cheerleaders. Every year, this team comes together to put on a 5-day festival, which brings over 250,000 attendees and produces a $12 million economic impact in the Hendersonville economy. Volunteering to put on the festival is often a family affair, with generations coming together for the love of the event and community. Preparing for this annual Labor Day festival is a year-round effort, requiring dedicated time and effort. The board books the entertainment, coordinates the vendors, manages logistics ranging from volunteers to sponsors, and plans public safety for parades. The North Carolina Apple Festival is an institution in Hendersonville, celebrating its 76th anniversary in 2022. Downtown Hendersonville is proud to select the North Carolina Apple Festival Board of Directors as its 2022 Main Street champion.
So we have this certificate as well as a nice medal. Maybe you can wear it along the day at the festival.
Look good on you, Mark.
And we just really appreciate that all that y'all have done. And this is Mark Shepard. He's the chair
Yep.
of the board.
Guys, we appreciate it. We know this festival wouldn't happen without yourselves, the fire department, the police department, and Public Works. You're all the ones that really make this festival happen, and we really appreciate everything y'all do for us. It's now a volunteer board. We're really working hard to have some of the same diversity and some of the same unity efforts that the city's having. So we really, really do appreciate everything y'all do. Thank you.
Congratulations. Right, the Environmental Sustainability Board Sustainability Hero Award.
Thank you. Good evening. I have the privilege of serving as chair of the city's Environmental and Sustainability Board, and I'm here tonight on behalf of our board to present the first ever Hendersonville Sustainability Hero Award. As sustainability is one of the city's core values, we felt it was important that each year we honor a city employee or a team that has been a champion for change and has been responsible in the development and implementation of sustainable practices in Hendersonville. This year's recipient has exemplified all the qualities and characteristics of a sustainability hero, and tonight we would like to take a second and celebrate this person's outstanding achievement in leadership, innovation, and service to the community as it relates to helping preserve our community for future generations. Some, but not all, of this person's accomplishments include the following. This person has applied for and received millions of dollars in grant funds to implement water quality improvement projects. Not only has this person sought grant funding, but they have also been instrumental in leading the various streams and floodplain restoration projects within the community. This person has been an advocate for the incorporation of stormwater features in many of the city's recent development projects, including the new police headquarters, the parking deck, and the new fire station renovations. This person's stormwater administration and leadership for the city of Hendersonville, was referred to by peers as being exemplary. And because so, it was one of the few programs in North Carolina to be found as fully compliant in the most recent MS4 audit. Some of the sustainable initiatives that this person has implemented include the city's rain barrel program, storm drain marking, and stream cleanups, most notably being the trash trout program. This program specifically has helped remove over 10,000 pounds of trash from local waterways. It was the first of its kind, and based on its success, there are now 35 trash trouts across 5 states. This individual is also very committed to meaningful public education and outreach. They have created and branded the city's Stormwater Stroll as a tool to educate the community on stormwater treatment and practices. They have volunteered with Girl Scouts and Boy Scouts, which has led to the installation of a rain garden at a local elementary school. This list could really go on and on. There are so many things that this person does with respect to civic engagement, both within the community and when it comes to helping out other municipalities and agencies, both regionally and statewide. Whenever interacting with the community or collaborating with outside organizations, this person creates a positive experience with lasting impact. So without further ado, I would like to present the first ever Sustainability Hero Award to Mike Huffman.
I didn't prepare a speech, but I first have to thank the Environmental Sustainability Board for the recognition. I think I was on the staff liaison for 5 years. I think the work that you all have done and continue to do is amazing. Sustainability is a crucial part of our community. I also, Brent Detweiler, my boss, and the engineering team, you all, City Council, John, Brian, City Management, everything I do is supported by you all, so I wouldn't be able to hold the award with it if it wasn't for your all support. So thank you. Thank everybody. I appreciate it. Come on, Brent.
Oh, this thing is going. Okay. Very good.
Did we get him the SS Huffman stream cleanup?
Yeah.
Okay. Ms. Roundtree has something that she's going to have to leave the meeting. Is there any objection to allowing her to leave for personal reasons?
No?
No.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Okay, ISO presentation. Mr. Polly. There he is.
All right. Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of City Council. As always, I get the pleasure of following the Honorable Mike Huffman. It's difficult. His many accomplishments. But I'm here tonight to introduce Chief Miller, and I'll ask him to come up in a moment to present the ISO rating to City Council formally here. But I do want to highlight some items before that and some thank yous and much-needed recognitions. One, to the City Council and the community. In 2017, August of 17, we received our last ISO rating as a Class 3. In those three areas, our fire department score was 34 out of the 50 total points we could receive. This latest go-around, we received 42 total points out of the 50, so a 9-point improvement. And some of those big areas included the hiring of 15 firefighters, 3 battalion chiefs, 1 deputy chief, 1 admin assistant, 1 training officer, purchasing 4 new fire trucks, constructing Fire Station 1 and purchasing land for Fire Station 3, a total tangible investment of over $20 million that this community's made in the fire service over the past 5 years. So one, just want to appreciate council for that support and John Connett for that support in moving this forward. Second, just want to appreciate the staff that are, some of them here tonight, others probably watching online. It's always interesting to watch the calls come through on the phone. I think in the past 24 hours of those or so, they've done 13 or more calls. This is a slower day and a slower month. They're always busy. They're always out there. Some examples of this is just base level, right? This is what they do every day in and day out, on top of everything else they do. Someone's mother wasn't feeling well, had shortness of breath, and they went and helped that person. There was a motor coach. I thought it was a motor coach. It's actually a moped that was on fire at Walmart that they went and assisted with that call. And a third, a coworker at a local business had a stroke, and our folks were there assisting them. So, you know, these people, these men and women are professional, brave, and caring for our community, and they're out there helping our coworkers, our friends, and our loved ones. So much appreciation. If we could give the staff a hand. And lastly, I'd ask Chief Miller to come up. He's going to do the introduction of the ISO rating. And while he's coming up, I just want to thank Chief Miller. This would not be possible without him. He's spent a lot of time being proactive with the Office of the State Fire Marshal. He has been working with them consistently from the beginning, knowing that we were going to be building additional fire stations, and working with them to say, hey, look, we have these things coming. We're working with our partners to make sure there's coverage. What can we do to make sure that we're ready for this audit? And they said, we'll do it early. We're going to come in. And thanks to Chief Miller, we had a great audit result. And I just appreciate him for the strong relationships he builds with the community and setting the example as a professional fire department. So it's a tremendous value that he provides to our community. And we just wanted to honor him with an honorary ISO 1 shield today and a thank you card. And thank you, Chief Miller. Turn it over to you.
Madam Mayor, members of City Council, thank you very much for allowing us the opportunity to speak with you this evening. Great news. We've made huge strides over the last 15 years. 15 years ago, we were a 5. 5 years ago, we were a 3, and now we're amongst the very, very few, which is a number 1. So we truly are, as you see, the men and women of our organization are the best of the best. Can't do that without your support, without the support of city management. This is not a situation where we go it alone. We have Lee, who's hiding behind the sign, who snuck in and is hiding. So Lee and his group with water and sewer, the city engineer, obviously water is 40% of that process, and so that's a significant. So your direction, leadership, guidance, and support of the water system has gone a long way. We have Mr. Putnam, if you'll stand up for a second. We have the insurance. The insurance looks at our communications division. They look at that's 10% of our grade. So how our dispatch systems work, our 911 system, how many communicators they have, computer-aided dispatch systems, those types of things work as well. 50% of that grade is the fire department, so the men and women not only running the calls, taking the classes, training, educating, and keeping up truck maintenance and stuff like that. So that's gone a long way. Just to kind of give you a scope and scale of this, in the entire state of North Carolina, there's 1,295 departments. We are one of 27 that is a number one. So that puts us on par. Mr. Condit says all the time, we play bigger than we are. We're a little city playing like big city. If you look around and you look at the 27 departments that are in number one, they spend tens of millions, if not $100 million on their fire departments to try and obtain a one. So for us to be able to have that accolade speaks volumes for the men and women and what they're doing every day. Out of 45,000 departments in the United States, there are 411 that are a one. 45,000 departments, 411 that are a Class 1 ISO. So that, I can't tell you how much that means. So we certainly appreciate the support. It's a team effort, and we appreciate your continued support. And we promise to keep doing great jobs, continue process improvement, and get better and better. Thank you.
Very proud of all the work that went into that. Thank you. Okay, City Academy graduates. Mr. Conant, could you explain what this is all
Yes,
about?
and I'll ask Luann and our team members who are part of the City Academy to come forward also, because I think the mayor has some certificates as well as Luann has a challenge coin. But we have a leadership program with the city that we do once or twice a year. It is over 6 weeks. It's after work. It's at night. These folks are giving away their free time to come to our City of Hendersonville Academy sessions, and it's about learning more about the organization, about breaking down silos, to learn what other departments do, to learn about budgeting, to learn about growth. And so we had these participants tonight that participated in the program, again, over 6 weeks between February and March, dealing with state and local government, our overall department, the variety of departments, human resource night, local growth and city history, budget presentation, and then leadership development. So they volunteer their time and come and learn, and it's a growth activity for them. So happy to recognize these folks for participating in the program, and I think we have some certificates.
Mm-hmm. Okay, not everyone could be here, but I will read all the names. Jennifer Case, she is Gary Davis. Come on up. Congratulations. Thank you. Got that for you, and Luann has this. Faith Lee is not. Tyler Morrow. Okay. There you go. That. Okay. Jill Murray.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Okay, Katie Sanborn is not, sorry, these things are sticking together. There we go. Justin Ward. All right. There we go. And Deborah Shaw. Okay. So thank you for taking your time to learn more about the city and be able to serve us even better. So. Next recognition, North Carolina International Public Management Association HR Award.
Good afternoon, Mayor and City Council. It's good to be here tonight. The City of Hendersonville and the Human Resources Department were recently recognized by the North Carolina International Public Management Association for, thank you, for our wellness program. And the award was presented for excelling in organizational development and leadership by introducing innovative and creative programs and achieving high standards in select categories. So I'm going to present this award to Luann, who manages our wellness program. And I appreciate all your hard work, you along with the Wellness Committee, appreciate that. And I do want to say I do appreciate the management and the City Council for allowing us to have these programs that we have.
Okay. Well, I think it's making a difference in the health of our employees and as well as our insurance premium costs, and so thank you all for what you are doing with that. More employee recognition. Who is?
Mr. Buchanan, if John will.
Now it's time. All right. We have a couple of them down here.
Okay. So we do have two from the Finance Department this evening. Good evening, Mayor, members of council. First up, we have Logan Hickey. He is our procurement and contract manager. Logan has been with the city for about a year and a half. One of Logan's many accomplishments in that year and a half is the creation of a contract repository to help us better track and manage all of the different contracts we have with the city. Logan submitted that project to the North Carolina Department of Administration's new award program, and he won the award for the contract management section. So, Logan, if you'd like to come up, got the award here. Thank you for all your hard work and everything you do.
And just to echo, I think Ms. Speaker would agree, we've come a long way with contract management and procurement under Logan's stewardship, and so we just want to say thank you and congratulations.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Next up, we have Jesse Ivins. He is a senior accountant in the accounting division of the Finance Department. He's been with the city for about 2 years. Jesse has been working on his certification for local government finance officer for the time that he's been here. He completed that and took all the tests last year and passed. And this past January, he was awarded his certificates. Jesse is also a certified public accountant, so this is just more initials after his name. Thank you, Jesse, for all the work that you do.
Thank you. We have outstanding staff all around. Presentation on Mud Creek stormwater grants.
So Mike, this really was just a reason to get you here, so without you knowing, but if you would like to.
I recycle an old presentation.
Okay. Okay.
So wait. Did Brent spoil the surprise then?
Sounds like Brent's.
I was told to keep it a surprise. I told not to spend much time on it.
Okay. Okay.
We can do it real quick. I just want to say thank you. I don't know if I said it first, but I'm very honored to be recognized for the Sustainability Hero Award. So thank you again, everybody, for that recognition. It does mean a lot. Yeah, with that, we'll go through a very quick presentation. There's our fire department braving the weather down on 176. And so this is an update on what we have termed the Lower Mud Creek Floodplain Restoration Project. So a brief background. The city in 2002 purchased 2 large properties around the south side of the city. One kind of behind Publix. The other one is off of South Grove Street. If you were standing at the CVS on Spartanburg, like right there at South King, it would be behind there. And the purpose of purchasing those properties was to recreate functional wetlands and floodplains that can assist in treating stormwater runoff for that highly urbanized environment, and also provide additional flood storage because that is an area that chronically floods. Fast forward 20 years, 19 years, we applied for a planning grant to basically evaluate the possibility of doing those projects and receive funding from North Carolina Land and Water Fund to do just that. That planning grant was used to develop the ideas and the proposed projects that went into 2 grant applications, one with the North Carolina Land and Water Fund. So we got their planning grant, and typically they like to see projects come out of the planning grants, implementation projects. And they announced a new program called the Flood Risk Reduction Program in 2022, and then the state Division of Water Infrastructure also announced a grant program to fund stormwater construction projects, and that's funded through the ARPA funds. And those both were announced in 2021, 2022, and so we decided, based on the work we were doing with the planning grant, to apply to those programs and hopefully get some funding. This is just a background on the planning study. We evaluated those 2 vacant parcels. We looked for opportunities to acquire additional parcels to increase the potential for flood storage in the area. And then we looked at the opportunities across those sites for restoring ecological services through things like floodplain reconnection, wetland restoration, stream realignment. Riparian is the word we use to describe the area adjacent to the stream, vegetation restoration, and then innovative stormwater management practices. So these are the 3 project sites. The Wilson site is the site behind Publix. This does zoom in, yeah. So that's Publix right there. So this is the Wilson site. This is Greenville Highway. This is the Brevard Church, or that's South Grove Street there. That's the CVS. So there's a 14-acre parcel there. And then these are the parcels that we identified for acquisition to potentially increase flood storage. So that's just kind of an overview of the project site and the different environmental, what's the word I'm looking for? The different pieces and parts of the sites that could potentially be restored to provide the services that they once did. So the funding opportunities, again, this is just going over the different funding opportunities, what they were aimed at funding, what the amounts were. So there was $15 million available through the North Carolina Flood Risk Reduction. There was $57 million available through Division of Water Infrastructure, but there's a $5 million cap per application. So the results, the North Carolina Land and Water Fund Flood Risk Reduction, our project was the 3rd highest ranked application out of the 19 that they received, and we were awarded $1.1 million for flood risk reduction activities. The Division of Water Infrastructure, that was a very competitive grant. There was $50 million available, and I believe $250 million in requests through the grant application. There were 82 applications received, and ours tied with the highest points with 3 other projects for the highest scored project. We were awarded $1.9 million for that project. And so each of these projects, or each of these grants, are funding parts of the same project. Division of Water Infrastructure grant is going to fund design, permitting, and construction activities that include roughly 2,500 linear feet of first order stream restoration, 1,500 linear feet of stream bank restoration along Mud Creek, the restoration of 8.5 acres of wetland, and then 9.2 acres of riparian flood restoration. And those are the activities for this part of the project are primarily focused on the Wilson site and the Brevard Church or the South Grove site. And then that's the construction grant budget. If you look, we were basically able to leverage $100,000 to get $3.1 million. 1.9 from this, or 1.9 from this grant. And then the flood risk reduction, we are using those funds to do a large-scale assessment of that drainage area and the contributing drainage areas. We will be looking at acquiring 14 additional acres of floodplain, floodway property, and then implementing ecological restoration and additional flood storage across all of the sites. And those include things like removing berms and adding flood control structures. And so we used basically the funds that we got from Division of Water Infrastructure. Granted, at the time of the application, we weren't 100% sure we were going to get that funded, but we did, and so we were able to, count that as matching. So that grant is matched to this grant for a total of $3.1 million to implement the project. Some additional project benefits, I think, this, not just this project, but that area and these projects and the Akusta and what has been termed the Above the Mud could be a really transformational project for this city and that area. We're preserving open space, we're creating connectivity through greenways. It provides opportunities for passive recreation. There's distressed communities, block groups around that area that will have access to those areas. It provides climate resiliency, and it'll provide a lot of environmental education opportunities once we've completed the projects. Future phases, so with grants, matching is imperative. So fortunately, a lot of the times you're able to match grants with other grants. So the goal is to use the funds, because these will be a 3+ year project, to utilize those funds to match for some other grant programs to, do a phase 2 of the project and add some additional amenities to the project. And I do owe a huge thank you. Mary's not here, but Mary Roderick with Land of Sky Regional Council, she was super helpful. Her and Jake McLean with Wildlands Engineering, us three kind of developed the planning study and the different applications. So I didn't do it all on my own, and I just owe them a thank you. So with that, I appreciate the opportunity to present on this again. It was a good way to get me here and keep the secret. And just, again, thank you, everybody. For the recognition and for the support, really, because it wouldn't be possible without you all support and staff support. So thanks.
Any questions?
Any questions or comments?
I don't have a question, but I have a comment. After
ma'am.
that presentation, I think everyone in the room can see that is why you were awarded the first Sustainability Hero Award, because that's just one of the projects that you were working on.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
And so we really appreciate all the work that you do from a city council perspective and from an ESB perspective. There was no one else in my mind that should have gotten that first one. So I'm really glad
Thank
we were able to
you.
get
It's an
it.
honor to be recognized and an honor to be the first, and I appreciate it. So thanks, everyone.
All right, thank you. Okay. All right. Yes, if anyone would like to leave at this point, you may. If you want the excitement of our public hearings, you can stay, but we know you have other things to do. Mr. Manley comes up and everyone leaves.
Sorry. Good work. Are y'all ready?
Okay.
Okay. Madam Mayor, members of the City Council, good to see you this evening. I have one presentation for you. This is for a rezoning over on Upward Crossing Drive. This is a 1.5 acre parcel currently zoned PCD, so it's part of a conditional zoning district currently. Some of that larger planned commercial development was developed. This particular parcel has not been developed. And so the applicant is looking to rezone it to CHMU, commercial highway mixed use. And that parcel is shown here on the screen. It is in an area that is transitioning, area that contains a wide range of interstate-oriented uses. lodging, fast food, convenience stores. There's also been some recently approved multifamily uses, industrial uses. I mentioned the zoning is currently PCD and was part of a larger planned commercial development. It's located on Upward Crossing Drive, which is a private street with access to Upward Road. The property at the corner of Upward Crossing and Upward Road to the west was recently rezoned to CHMU as well, and that allowed for a Starbucks to be constructed there. Other recent rezonings have occurred on properties north of the site, which lay between I-26 and South Allen Road. These properties include 2 PRD multifamily residential uses, one of which is under construction, and those were approved in the last couple of years. There's additional vacant land in this area that was recently annexed and zoned CHMU as well. That CHMU zoning district was specifically created for this area in an area called the Upward Road Planning District, which was adopted in 2011 along with the CHMU zoning district. In general, this is a fast-growing area that will continue to see development pressure due to its relationship with I-26 and the land available there. Taking a look at the site, upper left picture is from the site looking towards Upward Road with Upward Crossing on the right. On the upper right is, again, from the site looking north along Upward Crossing. Bottom left picture is from the center of the site looking towards I-26, and bottom right is looking across the site towards an existing hotel. I mentioned the previous PCD. This is the site plan. This parcel here is the location in question. This is it kind of blown up, but it had originally been slated for retail unit and a restaurant that were not constructed. Taking a look at the future land use, this entire area is designated as Regional Activities Center. And it's also located within an activity node on the future land use map. All parcels in the surrounding area share the same designation due to the proximity to the interchange and Upward Crossing, Upward Road. I-26 is classified as a freeway, and Upward Road is classified as a boulevard according to the city's comprehensive plan. The 2020 Henderson County future land use designation for this subject property is Community Service Center. And then their draft comprehensive plan designates it as a community center. In both cases, these designations, these future land use designations in the county, they represent large commercial nodes that serve broad geographic areas. So looking at the criteria for rezoning, the first criteria is comprehensive plan consistency. In this case, the CHMU zoning district is consistent with the future land use designation of Regional Activity Center. The subject property is designated as a priority growth area in the land use and development chapter. And there's a goal within that chapter that states to encourage infill development that utilizes existing infrastructure in order to maximize public investment and revitalize existing neighborhoods. The population and housing chapter, cultural and historic resources, nor the community facilities chapter had any relevant goals or strategies, but the natural and environmental resources has a goal to encourage low-impact development practices and stormwater management, things that Mike Huffman gets really excited about. The water resources chapter also echoes this same strategy. And then I'll just lastly mention that the transportation and circulation chapter has a couple of strategies. Encourage mixed-use pedestrian-friendly development that reduces the need to drive between land uses, and enhance key entrances to and within the city. The second criteria is compatibility. In this case, the area is transitioning to higher intensity uses. Interstate-oriented businesses are present and will continue to expand. Opportunities for employment and housing are also increasing in this area. CHMU zoning district allows for uses that are compatible with what is out there. The CHMU district also contains design standards that also helps to ensure further ensure compatibility. The third criteria considered is change conditions. The corridor, the Upward Road corridor has seen and could continue to see growth and development. The fourth criteria is public interest. I mentioned the design standards. That is in the public interest because it will ensure quality development on the site. The fifth criteria is public facilities. The site will be served by city water and sewer, as well as police and fire. Upward Crossing Road, as mentioned, is a privately maintained, currently privately maintained road. Upward Road and is maintained by NCDOT. The sixth criteria, effect on natural environment. The subject property has previously been disturbed and contains no mature vegetation nor environmentally sensitive features that were found. The Planning Board made a recommendation at their March 9th meeting to recommend approval of the rezoning. They put forward a comprehensive plan consistency statement as shown on the screen, and they outlined these three rationale for approval in their reasonableness statement. Staff has also drafted a denial statement, and I will open it up for any questions.
Any questions for Mr. Manley? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Has this public hearing been advertised in accordance with general statutes?
Yes, Mayor, it has.
And we will open this public hearing. Is there anyone who would like to speak regarding this standard rezoning on Upward Crossing? Anyone who would like to speak? Is there anyone online seeking recognition?
No, Madam Mayor.
No? No. Okay. Thank you. In that case, we'll go ahead and close that public hearing. Council?
Madam Mayor, I move the City Council adopt an ordinance amending the official zoning map of the City of Hendersonville, changing the zoning designation of the subject property PIN 9588-21-9113 from PCD Planned Commercial Development Conditional Zoning District to CHMU Commercial Highway Mixed Use based on the following. The petition is found to be consistent with the City of Hendersonville 2030 Comprehensive Plan based on the information from the staff analysis and the public hearing, because the future land use designation of Regional Activity Center recommends restaurants and community regional services as primary land uses, and the location of the subject property aligns with the goals and strategies of LU-9. We also find this petition to be reasonable and in the public interest based on the information from staff analysis, and because the CHMU zoning district features design standards. The CHMU zoning district permits a mixed use, including those that are consistent with the interstate-oriented development occurring in this area, and the subject property is located in a priority growth area.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? Not. Those in favor of this standard rezoning for Upward Crossing, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say no. Ayes have it. Motion carries, and that can move forward. Thank you. Okay, item B was withdrawn, so we will go on to item C, street closure. Order to close a portion of North Wall Street.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of City Council. So City Council adopted the resolution of intent for this street closure for a portion of North Wall Street and set a date for a public hearing at your March 2nd meeting. So at this public hearing, any person may be heard on the question of whether the closing would be detrimental to the public interest or the property rights of any individual. The street closure petition was submitted by TJF Enterprises LLC, and that is the owner of the parcel ending in 7052, and it is this parcel right here. So the property owner of that parcel submitted the application. The area proposed to be closed is shown on your screen in yellow. The proposed area to be closed would be approximately 1,320 square feet. The order to close also includes language that if the portion is closed, then City Council reserves all right, title, and interest in and to any public or any utility infrastructure, including water, sewer, and stormwater, in the portion to be closed of North Wall Street, and also an easement within that closed area for the placement, construction, and maintenance of any public utilities. On the screen, you'll see the street closure, the plat. The hatched area on the right side is the area to be closed, proposed to be closed. I will note that if the city council decides to close this portion of North Wall Street, that there is a request later on in the agenda to accept a new public 10-foot right-of-way within the TJF Enterprise LLC parcel, and that is shown on the plat. That's this area right through here. So that is shown, and if you do decide to close, that is later on in the agenda. But this item, the accepting of a new right-of-way would come up under new business. Here's the motion for approval and the motion for denial, and I'm happy to answer any questions you all may have.
Any questions? All right, thank you.
Thanks.
Has this public hearing been advertised in accordance with general statutes?
Yes, Mayor, it has.
Thank you. We'll open this public hearing. Is there anyone who wishes to speak to the closing of a portion of North Wall Street? Anyone who wishes to speak? Okay. If you could give your name and address for the clerk's record, please.
I'm David Adams. My address is 315 Upper Laurel Drive, Hendersonville. I'm the one of the managers of the entity that's requested the closing. I'm just here to ask if you have any questions. I'll be happy to answer those.
Any questions? Okay, thank you. Anyone else who wishes to speak? Okay, we'll close that public hearing. Council, discussion or a motion?
Madam Mayor, I move the City Council adopt an order permanently closing a portion of North Wall Street between pins 95687875052 and pins 95687888039, 95687888036, 95687888044, 95687888042, 95687888041, and 95687788957 as petitioned by TJF Enterprises LLC.
Is there any discussion? Not. Those in favor of closing this portion of North Wall Street say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Ayes have it. Motion carries, and there you go with that one. Next, an annexation, 7 Bridget Loop Road.
Thank you. So this is a contiguous annexation petition. At your March 2nd City Council meeting, you accepted the City Clerk's certificate of sufficiency for this petition. The annexation petition was submitted by the property owner, which is Linwood Cabins LLC. The annexation application is for one parcel that is approximately 3.06 acres and has frontage on Bridget Loop Road and Haywood Road. On the map, on the right, you will see in red the current city limits line. So I have your motions for approval and denial, and there is the annexation plat if you would like to see it as well. And I'm here for any questions.
Any questions? Thank you.
Thanks.
Madam Attorney, has this public hearing been advertised in accordance with general statutes?
Yes, Mayor, it has.
We will open this public hearing. Is there anyone who wishes to speak on this annexation? Anyone who wishes to speak on this annexation? Anyone online?
No, Madam Mayor.
Okay. All right, and we'll close that public hearing. Okay. Council, discussion, motion?
Madam Mayor, I move City Council adopt an ordinance of the City of Hendersonville to extend the corporate limits of the city as a oh my God, it's contagious, contiguous annexation to annex that property owned by Linwood Cabins LLC, identified as PIN 9569149568, finding that the standards established by North Carolina General Statute 160A-31 have been satisfied and that the annexation is in the best interest of the city.
Okay, Is there any discussion? Not? Those in favor of this annexation of 7 Bridget Loop Road, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say no. Ayes have it, the motion carries, and that property has been annexed. Thank you. And another street closure.
Yes. Yes, this is another street closure petition. City Council adopted a resolution declaring its intent to close this portion of Laws Avenue and set a date for a public hearing at your February 8th meeting of regular session of City Council. At this public hearing, any persons may be heard on the question of whether this closing would be detrimental to the public interest or the property rights of any individual. The street closure petition was submitted by Danny and Sarah Huggins and Catherine Enlow Reitzel, the property owners of all abutting portions, or all abutting properties abutting this portion of that's being proposed to be closed. The area proposed to be closed is shown in yellow on the screen. As you will see, the area to be closed is an unimproved portion of a road called Laws Avenue. The proposed area to be closed would be approximately 16,213 square feet. The order to close also includes language that if this portion of Laws Avenue is closed, then the city reserves an easement for public infrastructure in the portion to be closed. And I have a motion for approval and denial and the plat if need be.
Okay, any questions? No? All right. Madam Attorney, has this public hearing been advertised in accordance with general statutes?
Yes, Mayor, it has.
Okay, we will open this public hearing. Is there anyone who wishes to speak regarding the closure of a portion of Laws Avenue? Anyone who wishes to speak? Anyone online?
No, Madam Mayor.
Okay, we'll close that public hearing. Council, up to you.
Madam Mayor, I move the City Council adopt an ordinance permanently closing an unopened and unimproved portion of Laws Avenue between pins 9568-18-1100, 9568-18-1372, 9568-18-3257, and 9568-18-3133, as petitioned by Danny Huggins, Sarah Huggins, and Catherine Enlow Reitzel.
Okay, is there any discussion? No? Those in favor of closing this portion of Laws Avenue, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say no. Ayes have it, motion carries, and that one is taken care of too. Okay, thank you. Now, a 2023 installment financing contract.
Now for something entirely different, Mayor and Council. We are required by statute 160A-20 to hold a public hearing anytime the city intends to pursue an installment financing agreement for capital purchases. So this resolution authorizes staff along with financial advisors and bond counsel to pursue a not to exceed $8 million installment financing debt obligation for City Hall and operations renovations. After your consideration and the public's consideration for this agenda item, we'll pursue negotiations with the bank and return to you on April 26th with a final resolution.
Any questions? All right, thank you. And Madam Attorney, has this public hearing been advertised in accordance with general statutes?
Yes, Mayor, it has.
We'll open this public hearing. Is there anyone who wishes to speak regarding this installment financing contract? Is there anyone online wishing to speak?
No, Madam Mayor.
Okay, we'll close that public hearing. Ooh, going through these. Council, discussion or a motion?
That's my turn.
It's Jerry's turn.
Madam Mayor, I move City Council adopt the resolution of the City Council of the City of Hendersonville, North Carolina, authorizing the negotiation of an installment financing contract and providing for certain other related matters thereto as presented. That's a word you don't see a lot.
Is there any discussion? Not, those in favor of the resolution say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Ayes have it, motion carries, and, all right, look forward to the follow-up on that one. New business, Tree Ordinance Study Committee.
This is it.
Who is,
This is it.
Yeah.
John was going to say something.
John, say welcome.
Welcome, Glenn.
Here we go.
Take over. It's all yours. Thank you. Good evening, Madam Mayor and the members of the City Council. Thank you for giving the Tree Board the opportunity to speak with you this evening on the important topic of the city's tree canopy. A few months back, the Tree Board provided the council with a memo outlining our concerns about tree canopy loss in the city. I hope you've had an opportunity to review it. I want to personally thank Councilors Roundtree, Smith, and Simpson for reaching out to us about this issue and arranging for us to be able to directly address the City Council and Hendersonville residents listening in or online. Most of my audience has disappeared, though, unfortunately.
They're missing out on the fun.
As you are all aware, our city landscape is changing. Highly developed landscapes are becoming the face of our community. Our tree-centric community character is now disappearing rapidly, and we are losing significant tree canopy. And this is in addition to the fact that Hendersonville has one of the lowest tree canopy percentages of all North Carolina cities that have inventoried their tree canopy. In 2009, a tree survey indicated that Hendersonville had a 36.6% tree canopy coverage. Since then, the march of development has had an increasingly negative effect on the city's tree canopy. The rapid pace of development is removing literally hundreds of acres of trees from our city landscape. In the last decade, we have lost 150 acres of trees, not individual trees, acres of trees. And with another 9 housing developments now approved for construction, the Tree Board believes that at least another 100 acres of trees will be lost in the near future. And we have no doubt that development is still on its way to Hendersonville. The primary reason for this tree loss is our zoning ordinances are not properly aligned with our community character, values, goals, and the importance of trees to our urban environment. Numerous city documents, including the existing city code, our comprehensive plan, and council's own values and beliefs, explain that the city believes that trees are important and will be protected, maintained, and enhanced in a sustainable way. Unfortunately, that is not happening in light of increased development pressures on our landscape. The Tree Board believes that changes need to be made to our development zoning code to properly protect and restore our tree canopy. We think it is important to make it clear that the Tree Board is not opposed to needed development. But we are opposed to developers that do not integrate trees and other natural vegetation into the planning of their developments, ignoring the ecological need to protect and properly manage our natural environment, and help residents to keep our tree-centric community character intact. With all the benefits that trees provide, the Tree Board believes that a healthy urban forest is as crucial a component of life, health, and well-being in Hendersonville as any other part of our infrastructure, items that cost millions of dollars more. Conservation of our urban forest and green space is truly a low-cost, multiple benefit community investment. We are here tonight to request the council's assistance in the establishment of a study committee to review our existing zoning code and make recommendations to City Council for improvements that will protect and restore our tree canopy while promoting appropriate development. The Tree Board has developed a number of changes that we hope will be the basis for the study committee review and recommendations to the council. I thank you for your time and consideration. I hope we can work together to develop a more sustainable urban forest in Hendersonville. I'll be happy to answer any questions that you may have, and I have some copies of presentations and the original memo that we sent to you if you'd like any additional paper. Thank you very much.
Okay. Any questions? Okay. Thank you. All right. You want to?
Can I do
To
it?
talk.
Do we want to talk about it?
Yeah, I want to, yes.
You go first.
Okay, sure. So we met with Glenn and Mary from the tree board and had a great meeting, Lindsay and I did. And we decided in that meeting that we would like for this to go way faster than the discussion of the lighting ordinance. And we thought that one way to do this would be to start out with a committee now that can take these very specific and exact recommendations and figure out how do we put them in ordinance form, and is it something that council would want to do? And from that discussion, we came up with the handout in front of you. How about I'll hand it off to you now? Or shall I keep going?
I can pick it up.
Okay.
I think we all know about, the rapid development that we are having here. We know even with the developments that were mentioned that have already been approved, we still have a shortage of housing. But we also, after an Earth Day proclamation and our sustainability hero, and Hendo Earth Fest, it is important for us that we are taking care of our tree canopy and our environment as well. And so one way to make sure that we can both accomplish accommodating the housing that we need, the development that we need, and working to sustain the environment that we have and hopefully plant more trees to increase our tree canopy, it would be looking at our tree ordinances. I know for me, I do think that, and I don't have a crystal ball, but if we can get the tree ordinances in a place where everyone is happy with them, hopefully we can make the development application process a little bit easier for folks, and maybe perhaps they won't have to go in front of the tree board as one of their steps. So for me, this is about, one, making sure we're protecting the environment, and two, also streamlining some processes to make everyone's lives a little bit easier. Because I know the tree board spends a lot of time, just like the planning board does, talking about all these projects we have coming. So Jerry and I went out and spoke to many people that are on the sheet that are in front of you to form this committee. And we tried to, along with Glenn and Mary, put together a well-rounded committee. So that includes myself as council liaison, with Jerry being an alternative, tree board members Glenn and Mary, Public Works Representative Mark, Planning Board, or Planning Department, Lou Holloway, ESB Representative, Virginia Teagle, Business Advisory Board Representative Steve Dozier, Planning Board member Neil Brown, our new Sustainability Manager Caitlin Jandusa, at-large member Susan Frady, and then our legal liaison Daniel Heyman. So we think this is a well-rounded group of all representatives that would have a stake in this process.
And several of them are also involved in the lighting ordinance, so they've.
Yes.
Everybody is highly motivated to streamline it. I'm not criticizing anyone, but, at all. I'm just saying we'd like to do a better job this time of the time frame and putting it all together.
Okay.
I'm not criticizing anyone. Oh.
Any other
I don't think we actually asked Ms. Ganduza, but you're on here.
No, I did.
Oh, you did?
I did.
Okay, because All right, I wasn't sure if anybody actually spoke to you about that. You're like,
I believe that everyone on this list, with the
I'm sure everybody-
exception of maybe Daniel, signed up for
well,
it.
Daniel's boss put him on that list, so we got permission.
That's what happens when you go on paternity leave. You just
right.
signed up for things.
That's right. So I guess, do we need to, yeah.
There is a motion there.
And I guess, Angie, is this list enough, or do we need to read all the names out?
Again.
I think you could say as presented in the slate at tonight's meeting.
Right, and we
instead
added
of-
Lou's name to that.
In-
Confirm that, okay. It's your turn.
Or you want me to read it?
I don't mind, but it's your turn.
Okay. I move City Council to appoint a limited purpose committee, the Tree Ordinance Study Committee, to study and recommend ordinance provisions related to the preservation of the tree canopy within the city of Hendersonville, to consist of the slate of folks presented tonight at this meeting.
Is there any discussion? Not. Those in favor of establishing this tree ordinance study committee, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say no. Ayes have it, motion carries, and whoever is going to be calling the group together can get to work.
Thank you very much.
All right.
And I promise
you.
it won't be a lot of meetings, because I'm not going to want to do a lot of meetings.
All right. Okay, now, to follow up on our closure of Wall Street, we've got a resolution to adopt a 10-foot right-of-way for Wall Street.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and members of City Council. As you stated, we closed a section of Wall Alley earlier in the meeting, and we need to open up a 10-foot alley in the center of the lot to give the public access through that property. And we have a request and dedication from TJF Enterprises LLC to be able to make that happen. And so there's a resolution for your consideration. And I'll leave it at that unless you have any questions.
Anyone have any questions? Okay. Council?
Madam Mayor, I move the City of Hendersonville City Council to adopt a resolution accepting the right-of-way from TJF Enterprises LLC as described and shown on the final plat.
Is there any discussion? Not. Those in favor of the resolution say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Ayes have it. Motion carries. Okay.
Thank you.
Now we have a way of getting through there again. Okay. City Hall Ops renovation bid approval. Mr. Pollak, here he comes.
Madam Mayor, members of City Council, related to the financing public hearing from earlier, we do have bids in hand for the City Hall and Ops renovation projects for the interior improvements that we've been speaking about. The bid came in at, with the added alternates, at $4.2 million, and this is within our budget. And this resolution would authorize the city manager to award the contract to H&M Constructors and begin negotiations for a contract. Happy to take any questions.
Questions? Okay. Thank you. Whose turn is it now?
Mine?
Carries.
Oh, that's right, this is not a hearing. Okay.
No.
Madam Mayor, I move that City Council approve the resolution by the City of Hendersonville City Council to authorize the city manager to negotiate and execute a contract for the City Hall and Ops renovations project.
Is there any discussion? Not. Those in favor of the resolution, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say no. Ayes have it, and we have that one taken care of, too. Can move forward with that. And then the 2023 Water and Sewer Revenue Bond.
I'm back.
Sure.
So much like the installment financing, we are alerting the council that we have put together our financial advising bond council team to pursue the 2023 revenue bond for a not-to-exceed amount of $9 million. Unlike the installment financing, there's no public hearing required for this item. We will be coming back to you on April 26th for that final approving resolution after negotiations with banks.
Any questions? All right. Okay.
My turn. Madam Mayor, I move City Council adopt the resolution of the City Council of the City of Hendersonville, North Carolina, directing the application to the Local Government Commission for approval of a water and sewer system revenue bond and certain related matters.
Any discussion? Not? Those in favor of the resolution for the water sewer revenue bond, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say no. Ayes have it, motion carries, and that can move forward too. All right, excellent. City council comments. Anyone have anything they'd like to report tonight?
I have two things.
Okay.
One thing would be a reminder of the Hendo Earth Fest that is happening on Earth Day, Saturday, April 22nd from 10 to 3 in downtown. So I do hope that folks will come and join us for that. And then also, I am excited to say that the Kiwanis Splash Pad project was awarded another $50,000 from the TDA grant program. So that project is slowly picking up steam, but I am really excited to see where it goes, and hopefully very soon we can schedule some sort of groundbreaking for it.
All right, good news. Thank you. Anyone else? City manager report.
Just point of order that your cash and investment report is attached to your agenda, and we'll congratulate council on conducting a large amount of business tonight. Just, I'm not going to say anymore, so.
We're not done yet.
Okay.
Don't do that. Don't
Thank
do
you.
that.
Okay.
All right.
All right, thank you. There's been a request for a closed session.
Is that mine?
You want me to do it? I'll do it. Madam Mayor, I move that City Council enter closed session pursuant to NCGS 143-318.11A1 and 6 to prevent the disclosure of information that is privileged or confidential pursuant to the law of this state or of the United States, or not considered a public record within the meaning of Chapter 132 of the General Statutes and the public body, and to consider the qualifications, competence, performance, character, fitness of an individual public officer or employee.
Okay, thank you. Is there any discussion? Not, those in favor of entering closed session say